Fruitvale Station is based on a true story. It is real life events that happen. Oscar Grant, um, he was shot and killed, by the BART Transit Police on New Year's Day. That's a fact. That's what happened. The last 24 hours of his life, from like cell phone records and the family's interactions with him, that was kind of helped compile that day as best as Ryan, our director, Ryan Coogler, could do. So on New Year's Eve, he and his girlfriend and his best friends, like they usually do, they go to San Francisco. If Oscar's from Oakland, he would catch the train over to San Francisco and go see the fireworks. That's the thing to do. There's a big fireworks show New Year's Eve in the Bay Area, and they wanted to go see it, so they went to go check it out. And on the way back, you know, got into an altercation on the train. That escalated to the BART Transit Police being called, and uh, got held up. Then then the events kind of unfolded after that. So it's basically about the Fruitvale Station is basically the last 24 hours of Oscar Grant's life, and it was a very eventful day for him because it was his mother's birthday as well. It was his mom's birthday. It was New Year's Eve, and he had a lot of interaction with the three most important people in his life, and that was his daughter, his mom, and his girlfriend, Sophina. We really wanted to kind of give him some of his humanity back by by giving a representation of Oscar by the people who knew him the best, and he was different around everybody, around his mom, his daughter, he was the his fiance, his best friends, like he was different in all these scenarios, and we just tried to give him a little bit of his humanity back the best way we could, through telling the story, flaws and all, that's another thing, we wanted to make sure it was as real as possible, like he's human. Oscar Grant is a kid from the Bay. He's 22 years old, but he had a lot of problems. He had a lot of issues. But I think it's in the trying to doing the right thing. And throughout this movie, throughout this day, you pretty much see him, the constant struggle between good and bad, the constant struggle with making the right choice in those moments, and through his past experiences, he was starting to get that he couldn't keep up this juggling act anymore. Like Oscar was a people pleaser. Oscar Grant wanted to keep everybody happy. He was one way around his mom. He was another way around his wife, his girlfriend, Sophina. He was one way around his daughter. And he was another way around his best friend. He was the leader of the group. He was the one that everybody turned to solve a problem or for, like to figure out what they were going to do next. Octavia is amazing to work with. Definitely, a pro, and she has an Academy Award, for the help, and that's not too shabby. So for me to work with her, I was a little not intimidated at first, but it was just like, oh man, okay, uh, what just a little. You always have to get a little nervous before you go do something. If you're not nervous at all, I mean I think that's a little bit of a problem. Like you should have a little like it's like before a basketball game. You're supposed to be just a little nervous, man, just a little bit. But she's an awesome person to work with. She's accomplished so much and has so much more to give and to offer. I just can't wait for the rest of the world to kind of catch up to what I know. So she's solid. Melonie Diaz plays Sophina. She's Oscar's girlfriend, mother of his child, best friend. Melonie is a very talented actress. Um, so much attitude and love at the same time. I think Melonie is very good at also giving you exactly what you need and a little bit more. You know, the story, you know, of Oscar Grant is so important to Ryan, you know, and because he's from the Bay Area, you know, it was, you know, Oscar's neighbor, you know, not, you know, literally in the sense of living next door, but, you know, they're from the same community. You know, Ryan relates a lot to Oscar in certain ways, and felt like it could have easily been him. And he felt a certain responsibility to the Bay and to the community and to the family to really, Ryan has his talent of of storytelling and painting pictures, you know, and he kind of felt the responsibility at that time to like get his emotions out and put them on paper, you know, and write this script. Ryan Coogler is way beyond his time. I feel like he is a natural born leader. You know, the first 5 minutes of me talking to him after reading the script, I was just so like, let's go do it, whatever. Um, Probably if I hadn't read the script and I went and had a conversation and talked to me and told me about this idea and what he wanted to do, I would have said, okay, let's do it before actually reading it, probably. Actually, I know I would have. Um, it's so important for a director to have everybody's respect, and he had respect from everybody. Everybody was just so like dialed in to what needed to be done, and that's just a reflection of the captain of the ship.
Fruitvale Station is a story about a young man, Oscar Grant. On the course of the last day of his life, he is killed by a Bay Area transit cop on New Year's Eve, which happens to be his mother's birthday. And we see him on the last day of his life and his interactions with people around him, strangers, his family, and basically go through the course of the day and the choices that he makes during that day. Oscar is my son, and I obviously he's had difficulties, and as a mother, it's hard to watch him go through basically the repercussions of some of the choices that he made. And there's a point in the film where she says, you know, I've had enough. You know, once you grow up, you know, essentially, not verbatim, I'll be there. But otherwise, this is something that you're gonna have to go through this. And I thought, wow, what a great way to show tough love, because you know, when you love something, you have to be able to let it go in order for it to soar. It is fraught with human frailties. We are happy, we are sad, we are agreeable, we love, hate. It's just true to life, I feel, because it's not everything is going to be storybook or have a storybook ending. And that's one of the reasons I think that I was attracted to this story. What I know about Ryan Coogler, aside from the fact that he is exquisitely talented, exquisitely handsome, exquisitely educated, he is very, very emotionally invested in telling Oscar's story, not just for Oscar Grant, but for young men of color. And that's just not limited to African American men, but that's who Ryan is. He's an African American man. So he is a contemporary of Oscar Grant and definitely felt the parallels to, you know, his own life. Well, Michael B. Jordan plays Oscar Grant, and I think Michael is he is the best of both worlds. He is a a character actor with a leading man's face. And, you know, not saying that leading men aren't all, you know, strong actors, but there's just something to be said about a guy who can really get into the bones of a character. Michael does that, and he has a strong work ethic, and he's supremely talented. So when I heard that he was going to be playing Oscar, it definitely made my decision to be a part of the project a lot easier, because he's just so amazing. The transformation, knowing Michael in person and knowing where he had to go to become Oscar, is night and day. There is not a hint of Michael B. Jordan in the character at all. And that's saying a lot. That's saying a lot. He's just so good. I mean, our relationship is, sadly, I always have to joke with him. I'm playing your mom on screen, but I'm way too young to be playing your mother. I just want you to know that. But no, he's like a little brother to me, and we still have that type of relationship now. Talk about a voice and a young actress who's going to be around for a while after this. She's just a beautiful. She has the same problem as Michael. She is a character actress in a leading lady's body, which is good for both of them. Um, but there was something about her performance. I remember when we did all the fun stuff, cooking in the kitchen. You just We all clicked. It was as if we'd known each other for years, like that we really did have those relationships. And I think that definitely is owed to their level of professionalism and their commitment as actors. She's a breath of fresh air. I'm a very animated person, as you can possibly see, and Wanda Grant is not. She's very regal, she's very poised, very graceful, very quiet. So, at any point when an Octavia-ism would pop up in the character, Ryan would come over and just say, you know, Wanda's very private, you know, and it was the sweetest way to dial me back, because whenever I felt like I needed to be more animated or bigger, he would always take me in the opposite direction. And I'm like, of course, because I've spent time with her. She is not this big personality, but she has a big personality. So it was all, for me, I can say that it was always about being very truthful to the character of Wanda, and the very moral strength that she had.
I play Sophina. That's Oscar's girlfriend, the mother of his child, his best friend. A working class mother who provides for her family by working at Walmart. It's really tumultuous. It's like we kind of like enter their life and they're having problems. You know, Oscar's been unfaithful. He's not very trustworthy, and Sophina is definitely like a woman scorned. And that's what I like almost like loved about like that opening scene. It's like so often we see women, cheated on, and none of them have like, I just love that she spoke up and how strong she was. And so that's where they are right now. I mean, we know that they love each other. We know that they care about each other. We know that they have a daughter, that they're both, everything is about the daughter. And yeah, they're like a young relationship trying to like work on it. I'm obsessed. Look at me, I'm like, oh, giddy. No, but I really do love him, and that's like what was really amazing about this like project. Is sometimes you're on set and you're like, oh, um, but I think he has like a really special quality that he makes everyone love him. You know, he's like so charismatic and full of life. So often, like, I feel like I work with directors who are like from an older generation, you know, who, and rightfully so, they have like their own stories to tell that are personal to them. And what I find the most interesting is that Ryan, you know, being 26 or I believe 27, is telling a story that is so specifically and uniquely his and that he identifies with. And because of that, there is this enormous passion behind it. You know, it's like I've honestly, like, my experience working with him was one of the most passionate things I've ever done in my entire life. Like, my dentist saw the movie. I like gave her a ticket to go to a screening, and she emailed me, and she's like, thank you so much. She's like, I'm gonna go home right now and hug my son. And I was like, that's cool, you know, like that. It's such a simple thing, but like that's what it's about. It's like you want to like go home and appreciate your family.
I got the idea for doing this movie like shortly after the incident itself happened. Um, I was back home in the Bay Area when Oscar was shot, and I heard about it around the same time everybody else did. You get a call from people who are riding the train, and how the Bay Area works is San Francisco is it's where everybody goes to see the fireworks on New Year's Eve. Everybody from the East Bay going, hey, we're going to Frisco tonight. We're gonna go see the fireworks burst off. And they go to you go down to Embarcadero, and you watch them behind the clock tower. So everybody in the Bay Area is there, and the only way to really get to the Bay Area is to catch. The only way to get to San Francisco is to get to that spot. If you're sane, is to catch the BART. So people come from all different backgrounds, and everybody's on BART that night. And everybody's coming back. So when that incident happened, a lot of people heard about it. A lot of people called and said, somebody got shot, at the BART station. They couldn't get back home. The train was delayed, and people saying they were on the train, and I ended up hearing about it, that night. I was actually working as a bouncer at a rave in the city, and I got off and I heard about it, and later on that morning we found out that he passed away at Highland Hospital, and the Bay Area kind of was in an upheaval, and it was shortly after that we saw the tape. We saw what happened to him on YouTube and on the news, and for me I was shocked. I was angered. I was frustrated, scared. And more than anything, filled with question as to how this could happen, and why stuff like this continues to happen, and how it could happen in the Bay Area, where I'm from. We thought that this, what I mean, thought that we were past this kind of stuff. And fortunately, if I'm a filmmaker, and as an artist, I think, it's very natural for artists to get their fears and their angers and their frustrations out through their art. So anytime I see something that moves me, I think about it being a movie or putting it out, what I mean, in that format. And especially after I saw what happened immediately afterwards, and how the case was politicized, and I thought that, what if I was able to make a film about this character, and maybe people who wouldn't be able to come around characters like this could see it, and have insight on what it is to be someone like this, and have insight on why when these things happen they're a tragedy. It's not just something that you should throw away as yesterday's news, and it's something that we should really stop and think about. Oscar was a guy who, every picture that I found of him, and it's a lot, it was really hard to find a picture of him by himself. You know what I mean? He was always with other people, always surrounded by his friends or his family, or with a baby in the picture, or here and there. The most famous picture of him is one with him smiling, and it's up, on murals all over the place. And even in that picture, you can see it's a baby's head next to him, cropped out on that side of the picture. He was holding his niece at the time, and they had to get a picture of him by himself. They had to crop out that baby, and what that told me about him was that he was a person who loved other people's company. So if you love other people's company, what do you hate? You know what I mean? You hate being rejected. You hate to be alone, you know. And what does that mean about you? You know, and then you talk to people, they say, you know, Oscar was this way. If you talk to his mom, you know, oftentimes he wouldn't be honest with her about what he was getting in trouble with. You know, he wouldn't curse around his mom. He wouldn't do certain things around his mom oftentimes because he didn't want to show her that side of himself. And what that told me was he was a person who would do whatever it was to make the people happy who were around him at that moment. I mean, Mike is a terrific actor, man. He's I mean, he's a guy. Like, he's great. You know, like, you got guys that are solid. You got guys that are good. You got guys that are great. You know, and it's the same thing like in athletics. You know what I mean? You know, it's a difference between a good player and a great player. You know, a great player makes those better around him. You know, a great player is somebody who is incredibly has God-given talent, but also a unnaturally consistent work ethic. You know what I mean? When those two things meet, you know, that's when you get greatness. And Mike also has a humility about him and a teamwork aspect about him. You know, it's very easy for somebody who's that good to kind of work on their own island. You know, and kind of be on their own thing. But Mike's the complete antithesis of that. You know, he's that good. He wants to work that hard, wants to succeed that much, and he wants everybody around him to be involved and to meet him at that point. So he's that kind of person is a filmmaker's dream. You know, and that's who he is. I mean, Octavia Spencer. You know, she's a great actress. You know, like Mike, another one, great actress. Incredibly kind, warm, and smart person. You know, experienced. You know, as a professional who's been around for a long time. But also she got like she got a youth tour that comes from the inside out. You know, in the energy tour. Like she's kind of like a battery on set. Man, she's so humble. She's so down to earth. She's so smart. And so energetic and so positive. You know what I mean? She would be singing on sets, you know, on the set off in the corner, man, and making everybody laugh. I think when people watch the film, man, Melonie is, you know, she carries a lot of the emotional weight. She's kind of like, in many ways, she's kind of a surrogate for the audience. You know, I think that the way she looks at Oscar, it's kind of the way that I feel as an audience member. You know, I feel close to him and I want him to do better. You know, when I'm frustrated when he messes up, and then I'm devastated when what happens to him. What happens to him, you kind of right there with her. So she was very, very important, you know, for the film. In the end, what I hope that people take away from this film is I just want them to go away from it thinking about humanity. You know what I mean, and what it means to be human, and how human beings should be treated, regardless of their backgrounds, regardless of where they're from, and that everybody's human. You know what I mean, no matter what somebody is, no matter who somebody is, no matter what they've been through, you know, they have people that love them, people that they love, you know, and their lives matter. You know. And I hope that people go away from it thinking about how they treat people, you know, how they treat their family members and how they treat people that they don't know, you know what I mean, how they treat people that they might have preconceived notions of, and wondering about how they can what they can do to improve situations that are still affecting us in society. It was an experience like none other. You know, shooting at the BART station was just it was moving. You know, and before we would shoot on anything that was there, you know, we'll get in the circle and have a moment of silence. And when I say us, it was everybody. You know, and I'm talking like our cast and crew. You know, and everybody who was there on the production, everybody who was there from BART. You know, it was BART safety monitors there and different people that worked for the company, police officers there. You know, everybody together standing side by side, in a moment of silence for what happened there, and in hope that we can accomplish, what we came to accomplish the right way.
Well, I mean, it's a true story that's dealing with issues that are really important. Just profiling, but violence, and also I think to not the humanization, but the understanding of people's lives, So it's a very, very important project. I thought that Michael was powerful in the movie because as a reality and authenticity to him, it's really strong. I know when him and Ryan were first working. Actually, they were working here. They met and they were just discussing the film and the ideas. And Ryan always had this image of Michael being the character. That's who he wanted to play the character. I think he got really excited when he realized that it could happen. And then when they met, they had a sort of connection that I think is very unusual and very special. I guess hopefully maybe it's one of those kind of connections between a director and an actor, like maybe Scorsese and De Niro had, or I try to compare it to something like that to elevate it to understand what it is, And then they went and they did some research. So I think Michael had an energetic path, that could fit in this character really truly. And then he went and did the research in San Francisco, working with Ryan and meeting the different people and going around. And I got a chance to talk to him a little bit, but he really just dived into what he was doing, and I think he did an amazing job. I think she brought a gravitas, an emotional weight to the relationship because she didn't have to force you into a space of believing the mother-son relationship because it's so crucial in the film. You just lived with it, and in a way, she becomes our emotional expression when Oscar Grant is killed. Because her pain becomes our pain too. We've followed along and we understand she's trying to protect her son and make him have a good life, and then when it's taken away, you really feel the loss. First of all, he had his own emotional experience because this happened on his land. You know what I mean? It happened in his land, and it affected his community, and it affected him because it's a reflection of what could possibly happen to him. He's written on the BART. You know what I mean? So he understands that area of truth. You know what I mean? Then he's working with these legal team, looking at all the videos, looking at the documents and everything. So he's starting to explore the truth in that way, and he starts to try to formulate a story because he knows it's important, Then he looks at all the videos that are just on YouTube too, as he's trying to understand who's being cataloged over here, but then there's more. And then he starts to move forward and starts to interview the family members. He's trying to get them to become involved with him. When they decide finally they will become involved, he speaks to them, I speak to them, they become involved. The mother becomes involved. Then he can get more truth. He keeps probing, you know what I mean? He wants to talk to the mom. He wants to talk to the girlfriend. He wants to talk to the friends, And he gets that information. So he was continually pushing and pushing and pushing for the truth. Then he goes over here to the BART people and he sees their pain, and he sees the pain of the community. Then he goes to like the functions that are going on where Occupy Oakland is happening, where Oscar Grant's photograph is being plastered in front on billboards and put in front of T-shirts, and the people are screaming about their injustice. So he hears the frustration that he already knows. So he keeps pushing and pushing and pushing towards the truth. You know what I mean? And then the bigger thing is like now. So now it's like making the movie. Can we adhere to the truth? So then he continues to push towards, can we be on the Fruitvale Station? Can we live in that energy that's already there? Can we be in this place, in that place? He keeps pushing towards those truths. Then we make the film, and he's like trying to make sure that he's telling the truth. He edits it, puts it together. You know what I mean? Putting all the things in place, figuring it out. And there's another truth. He's trying to make sure that lives in that truth. Then he's still, at this moment now, trying and being vigilant to watch the way it's being marketed, to watch the way it's being spoken about, to watch whether it's being represented this way. So, of course, here's the poster. First posters start to come. They start looking, in their goodness, or like dealing with the guns and different things like that. So the conversations move to, can this be about the human experience? And then it becomes a poster with the guy holding his daughter in the hood, beautiful, Then you get to the next part of how you're going to put this other information out. And he's like, whoa, is this correct? It's just, so he continually pushing towards the truth, because he's looking at, how does this affect the community? How does this affect the people that were involved? How does this affect me? I think it takes you on a journey of a flawed character, and allows you to understand the humanness of him, so you see the humanness in yourself. And then ultimately, we have to face like the issues in society and the struggles and stuff, and make our own opinion about it, And I think it's very powerful.
Meeting him as a person, and you just think he's wonderful, but seeing him on screen, it blew my mind, because he was so right on. He was so on point of portraying Oscar Grant, and I think he's going to be a really important actor of this generation. Ryan, our director, worked closely with Oscar Grant's girlfriend, the mother of his child, to see what were the texts of his last day, who his friends were, the mom's birthday, calling the sister when the sister couldn't make it for the mom's birthday dinner. So those were all real, and he wanted to add that humanity into it, that all of us use our cell phones for all these, and it's just the way of life now. So the cell phone later on becomes an integral part of the story, because at the same time, when it happened, there was over 21 videos that ended up being submitted for the trials. And so that played a crucial role. So not only did he use the cell phone to connect everybody, all his friends and family, but it played a crucial role in the actual incident, and for the trial to go the way it was, because it was actual proof of what happened. Ryan wanted to make this movie because it's very personal to him. When he first met Forrest and I about this subject, he said that could have been him, his brothers, his friends. Because when you see the image of the video that people recorded, it was just a young black man with his friends. So he said that could have been me or any of my friends. And being in this society today, where we hear about whether it's Trayvon Martin or anybody else, it's become commonplace. So he wanted to tell a story that, we're also human beings. He goes, I'm a young African American man. I'm a human being. I have family. I have loved ones. So to him, it really hit home. So many things happened on that New Year's Eve that made it so sad and interesting, and some people might see it as coincidental, even though they were all true, was the fact that it was his mother's birthday on New Year's Eve, that his daughter didn't want him to go out that night. So there's all these interesting things that he did want to make a change, because people want to make New Year's resolutions. So that's why it made it very interesting that we did do the last 24 hours of his life. And, the movie is very, very true to his last day of his life. What's special about the film is that initially I thought this will be a successful film domestically. It's an American story. And what's special is it has crossed over internationally. And going to the Cannes Film Festival, where you have an international audience, a predominantly European audience that responded to the film so well, so lovingly, that's what is special about the film, that it impacts everybody. And our goal is that it will impact everybody in the world.